Hey, welcome. You've probably heard the term data warehouse thrown around, right? Sounds kind of technical, maybe a little intimidating. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on this thing. We're going to break down what a data warehouse really is and, why you should even care.
Okay, let me paint a picture for you. Have you ever been in one of those meetings? You know, the one where the sales team throws up a number for quarterly revenue, and then 2 minutes later, the finance team shows a slide with a completely different number? It's so frustrating, right? Well, that exact problem, that chaos, is the whole reason data warehouses were invented in the first place.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to tackle this in 5 parts. First, we'll look at the data chaos that started it all. Then, we'll see the solution that emerged. We'll pop the hood to see how a warehouse actually works, figure out its true value, and finally, we'll look at how things are changing in the modern era. Let's get into it.
Okay, Section 1. To really get why data warehouses are such a big deal, we need to hop in a time machine. Let's go back to a world before they were a thing.
So picture this. Back in the day, every single department was its own little island. Sales had their system over here, inventory had a totally different one over there, and accounting, well, they had their own thing too. And the problem? None of these systems talked to each other. They were totally incompatible, and the result was, you guessed it, conflicting information. Trying to get one unified view of the business? Forget about it. It was an absolute nightmare.
So out of all that mess, this really powerful idea started to take shape. What if there was a way to create a centralized solution? A way to bring some order to all that scattered, chaotic information?
And that solution is the data warehouse. So what is it really? The best analogy is to think of it as the company's central library for data. It goes out to all those different systems, grabs the data, cleans it all up, makes it consistent, and puts it all in one place. This creates that holy grail of data, a single source of truth.
Now, this is an absolutely crucial distinction. On one side, you've got your operational databases. These are the workhorses. They're all about running the business day to day. Think recording a sale or updating an address. They have to be super fast. But a data warehouse, it's for analyzing the business. It's not the factory floor, it's the control tower. It's built to answer the big, tough questions, like, how have our sales trended over the last 3 years?
So what actually makes a database a data warehouse? Well, it really boils down to these 4 key things. First, it's subject-oriented, meaning the data is organized around business concepts, like customer. Second, it's integrated, so customer means the exact same thing everywhere. Third, it's time-variant. This is huge. It holds on to historical data so you can actually see trends over time. And finally, it's non-volatile. This means the data is a stable record. It's a history book, not a notepad.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Makes sense, right? Now let's get a little more technical and pop the hood. Let's see how this thing actually gets built. The real engine room of the data warehouse.
The whole process of getting data into the warehouse has this famous 3-letter acronym, ETL. It stands for extract, transform, and load. First, you extract the data, pull it out of all those original systems. Then, and this is the important part, you transform it. You clean it, you standardize it, you get it all structured nicely. And finally, you load that clean, shiny data into the warehouse.
And I really want to double-click on this for a second, because that T for transformation, that's where all the magic happens. Seriously, this isn't just about copy and pasting data. It's alchemy. It's taking all that messy, chaotic data from all over the place and turning it into a single, clean, trustworthy source of information. This step is where almost all the value is created.
Okay, so once the data is in, how do you actually organize it? Well, there are 2 main schools of thought. On one side, you have dimensional modeling. The goal here is all about usability and speed for the people actually using the data. Think of it like organizing a grocery store so customers can find what they need fast. On the other side, you've got normalized modeling. This is all about minimizing redundancy and maximizing flexibility for the future. It's more like creating a master blueprint for the entire building. The truth is, most modern systems end up using a bit of both.
All right, so we've done all this work. We've extracted, transformed, loaded, organized. But so what? What's the real payoff here? Let's talk about the true value that a data warehouse actually delivers.
This is where it gets really good. A warehouse unlocks insights you couldn't get any other way. For starters, you finally have that single version of the truth. No more arguments in meetings. You can analyze trends over years, not just weeks. You can run these huge, complex queries without any fear of grinding daily operations to a halt. And maybe the most powerful thing,
you can finally see, with data, how that marketing campaign actually affected sales. And this really gets to the bigger picture. A data warehouse isn't just another database. It becomes the central nervous system for the entire organization's data strategy. Every business intelligence dashboard, every weekly report, every fancy data science model, they all plug into this one central hub.
But of course, the story doesn't stop there. Technology never stands still, right? And the world of data warehousing has gone through a huge transformation, especially over the last 10 or 15 years.
If you look back, in the 90s, these things were absolute monsters. They were massive, on-premise systems that cost a fortune and were so slow they probably only got updated once a week. Then, around the 2010s, the cloud completely revolutionized the game with services like Snowflake and Amazon Redshift. And today, we're moving into what people call the lakehouse era, which is this cool hybrid of a warehouse and a data lake.
And I mean, the move to the cloud was a total game changer. All of a sudden, you didn't have to spend millions on hardware just to get started. You could scale your system up or down in minutes, and you only paid for what you actually used. This shift basically democratized data analytics. It wasn't just for the giant corporations anymore. Pretty much any company could get in on the action.
And that brings me to a final thought, a really powerful idea that I think gets to the absolute heart of what a data warehouse is all about. It's so much more than just a piece of technology.
You see, building a data warehouse, it's a philosophical statement. It's your organization saying, we are committed to making decisions based on data, not just gut feelings. It's a way of preserving your company's institutional memory. And maybe most importantly, it's a commitment to democratizing information, to giving people the tools they need to be smarter.
So the next time you're in that meeting and you see two different numbers for the same thing, you'll know exactly what's going on. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. In a world that is just drowning in data, how is your organization making sure it can actually see the full picture? Thanks so much for joining us.